Hello, I'm Ash, your divine helper. Today I will be doing a collective reading for the new moon in Capricorn. I will be using the Lumen Threads of Fate deck for you to bring in messages today. So let's see what they have to say. So the first message that I'm getting is don't forget to move in. Leaning in, to move into that spot, to move inwards. That's hot. So attraction and affection are moving through, which are very interesting for Capricorn, right? Now my cat is digging into some of my moving boxes. I think she's trying to cause trouble. Gaining attention. Yeah, I guess Capricorn does like to gain attention, right? Their social status and being seen are important to them. I normally attribute it to a kind of coldness. Venus and Capricorn especially, I feel like it brings up so much material aspects in romance. Like, are my material needs getting met? Do we have enough money? This is affecting the relationship type of things. But I'm hearing that there is a need to play and a need to have fun during all of this. Yes, like we can aim for the top and try to achieve the best outcome, but we need to be playing and having fun and exploring and seeing what's coming through. I also seen connecting with the heart when I was shuffling this deck earlier. And my cat is really playing with her toys right now. She's having a lot of fun. She was actually playing in the bed as well, in the blankets. She's a little soccer player. It's very cute. Cuteness is now coming through. And on the connect to the heart card in this, there's a dog and he's looking up at the moon. So animal guides are coming through, playing with your pets, making sure to take the time off and breaks in between your work to give attention to your children and pets and your inner child as well. If you don't have children, that's also a choice being made. That one wants to stay out. Okay, back of the deck. Oh, yes. We have sacred sexuality. Oh no. As well as play and sovereignty, ascension. They said to keep those. Sometimes I will just read from the back of the deck and just keep on going because I feel like it's always very accurate. Now my throat chakra feels very itchy. Yeah, the air was very dry today, in which we haven't had any cold days really since November. And today's the first cold one where I can wear socks. So dryness is really coming through. The Weaver, higher perspective, manifest, shared wisdom, and the underworld. Now I think there needs to be one more card. Okay, paradox and ancestors are also coming through. See, paradox, that card always comes through for me when I just want to work and get things done. And it's like, nope, we get things done when we play and we have fun and we connect. Now I'm hearing it takes two to have a baby. No, it takes two to tango, you know? I feel like the stelliums are important here. What was conjunct Venus? The sun. The moon is going to be conjunct with them. How close was Mars and Mercury? I'm going to show you guys the transits so you can see all of the degrees. We have Lilith behind us and Pluto in front of us. And then we have Neptune, Saturn, and North Node in Pisces. Oh, we also have Jupiter retrograde opposing everybody with the Sun, Moon, Venus, and Mercury. I think that this Capricorn season is going to be a lot spicier than usual, especially with that Mars-Venus conjunction going on. We're also being intellectually stimulated because Mercury is so close, and then the sun is providing vitality to that. The moon is catching up, so she is providing emotionality behind that. I can see this being a time where a lot of karmic relationships are occurring. Either the ones that we are in are strengthening, or we are now connecting with our soul partner. And this should be very physical since it's in Capricorn. But we have our past experiences with Jupiter opposing us. My cat is now playing with the door, so it's trying to break in. And due to Cancer, that can be familial and mother situations, or maternal line or just feminine aspects. I think it's very interesting that both Capricorn and Cancer are feminine energies, but they do kind of have to do with taking care of the home. Like I kind of think of the headmistress or a governess, a head matrion when I think of Capricorn. Like she's leading the house and saying what needs to go well, what the children need to learn, where all of the finances need to go, and like grains need to be distributed, especially because you're in winter during Capricorn. If you're in the upper hemisphere, northern hemisphere, yes. So yeah, perhaps you are taking over your house at the moment as head matrion, or you're getting ready to step into the role as the head feminine. If you're a male, perhaps you're about to meet the woman that will be leading your life. We both lead, right? Yeah, making sure that the pets and the kids and the projects and the partner, maybe even the family members of your family and partner are getting the love and attention that they need. That's coming through again. And just a need to play. We're in the new moon, but perhaps something occurred around the full moon that has now set you ablaze. There could have been a complete renewal that occurred, and this is really getting ingrained during this new moon. You've picked up the torch. Yes, headmistress, right? Picked up the torch. She also has very long nails here, or if you're a male, then perhaps your woman has picked up the torch. She's decided to take the lead in whatever aspect she needs. We have the pyramids back here. Perhaps they're a mountain. The flames kind of make it look like a volcano. So an eruption, an energy erupted that set you ablaze. It could have set your beauty into a new phase. And then the sands of time with the sand mounds here. And we have pink and magenta. Magenta's kind of your will. The pink is the higher heart chakra. And then we have some cyan and a little bit of blue that might be turning into indigo. So more of communication, communicating your journey and connecting to your heart. You may have picked up the torch and decided that you are now going to show your inner world and your inner self. You're going to show the wisdom that you've gained and the points that you have made, because pyramids are pointed and concentrated at the top. They have a tip that can act as a energy signal, like a lightning rod, a point of access. Yeah, so I see you on this journey, ready to communicate your own inner journey and ready to join the revolution. You're becoming revolutionary. Prominent women are also coming up, women who took a stand, women's rights, hand in hand, deciding to push and move forward, letting go about how other people might feel about this and deciding to be the outlaw. Do what you want because a pirate is free. Yes. Well, this is a cowboy though, huh? Not caring about how other people are going to view you or what they're going to think, and standing fully in your sacred sexuality. Another full moon, and all of the roses have taken bloom. Rosicrucian and Jesus Christ consciousness is coming through. Now I'm getting Virgin Mary, and again with divine counterparts is coming through, because now I'm thinking of the Virgin Mary and the spiritual connection she had that allowed Jesus to come in. And now Zeus is coming through with his demi-gods. I want to say Prometheus, but that is fire. It is Perseus. I'm thinking of Perseus and his mother. Greek gods can be relevant, as well as the Bible. I had the Bible coming in earlier too. Connecting with divine energies. We also have Venus conjunct right now. Mars, which is very intimate. I'm seeing meditations that could help this come through. Or I think manifesting is on here as well. Manifesting through this. Yeah. Not being afraid to show your femininity, your prowess, your beauty, what you can do in that realm. we did have divine masculine and feminine coming together, so you know what I mean. I've already communicated about this. Yes, I see that coming through very clearly. Oh, now Tantra, right? Yes, Tantra may help you. And there looks like there's 2 moons here. That's actually an orb though. So a new story coming through for you, a new cycle, a new circle in your relationships, in your marriage or connection. If you've just started dating, I see this going very well for you. Yes, and a lot of passion with the roses. It engrosses. And this really being a time to play. Chloe. So now we have dolphins, and there's 2 of them here. And I'm getting a time to play is here. And they're in these aurora skies, a little bit of trees in the background. And we have gold frequency coming through. This is also kind of reminding me of DNA. And we also had the weaver on here as well. So that I'm hearing weaving through the BS. Okay. Maybe leaving the BS, leaving it all behind. If there was a past cycle that was going on with you and your partner, I feel like mother is coming through. If you've had relationship problems due to your mother, due to her views on your partner, if you've had trouble fully connecting or expressing due to some feminine relationship in the past, or even a past lover who made a mess, then it's time to let that go now and weave a new story. We also have higher perspective next to weave. It's time to gain a higher perspective if your mother does have a bad view of your partners or the like. Maybe looking at why, is she jealous? I don't know. I hope not. Maybe she's trying to keep you protected and she doesn't trust men. And if you are a male watching this, perhaps she doesn't like your girlfriends. Maybe she's always criticizing them. Maybe there's a need to put boundaries there. Or maybe you already have. Let's be clear. There's a need to not care about what other people think about your relationship, whether that's your marriage, a new partner, how you express yourself. Also, dolphins are polygamous, and apparently the males form bonds so that they can court women. So if you're not traditional in that sense, there's a need not to care anymore. Now my cat is climbing everywhere. It's time to climb to new heights. Look at you being beautiful over there. Do you want a picture? Maybe it's time to take some pictures. The cats really dislike pictures, so I can normally get them to move if I try to photo shoot them. Share your pictures. Oh goodness. I know I'm like, I don't want to share my pictures with anybody because I just have a complex. Apparently it's has to do with people pleasing. But my mind's like, oh no, we're afraid of hexes and vexes. It's like, no. Or, I mean, that's part of it. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons. Maybe you don't want to share your romantic pictures online or of your family, your dying time. But we need to be a light. People need to know that there's good relationships out there, right? We see everyone asking for love. We see a whole community trying to manipulate love, trying to gain love, hoping for love. If you're already in a loving relationship and you don't want to share that, how are they supposed to have hope that that exists? I know when I talk to friends and they talk about how difficult it is in the romantic realm now. And I'm like, I mean, certainly relationships are very difficult. And even if you're in a happy relationship, you all have to deal with a lot of things. Relationships are very messy things. And if there's children involved, you have to deal with your children. Even when you're in a relationship, you guys are having to deal with each other's child problems. We had parental problems coming through. It's hard work. Those stories need to be shared too, right? The revolutionary. Even the tower, she threw down the tower. Towers have to crumble when we're in relationships, right? All kinds of them. Our perception of what's right, of what we should be getting, of what we shouldn't be getting. Sometimes we have to gain new insight, gain a higher perspective. That's why sometimes you can be with your divine masculine or feminine, and then due to standards, perhaps parental standards, societal standards. You think, I should be receiving this. I shouldn't have to change this aspect of myself. And then both parties fall apart because they're being stubborn. It takes a lot of growth and maturity and having to put that aside, maybe having to sit down and look inside at where your inner self is taking you. I know that during my arguments, we were finally able to expand when we'd get angry. And then it's like, I need to get away right now. Yes, thank you. And I need to see what voices are communicating. What is this actually? I'm actually quite upset because my mother, my father, perhaps a sibling, they treated me this way, and now I'm projecting that onto you. I'm angry because you are showing aspects that remind me of that. You're disrespecting me due to that. But then if we dig in, okay, sorry about that. I got her out of the way. So yes, I feel like there might be a third party energy that you need to get out of the way for this. And I also feel like this is a journey that you're going on, that you're going to gain a lot of insights and information and channeled messages about. I am channeling a lot right now on different aspects, on different shared wisdom that I could provide in this setting. So I see a lot of insights coming through. And also, the other two cards at the back of the deck were Ancestors and Paradox. So, what I was getting about that is either you're in a relationship right now or you're getting prepared to enter a relationship that is going to have to make a lot of adjustments and changes, or it did require that. And I'm thinking a lot about how, people, they try to manifest these relationships where everything they want is prepared and given to them. They're receiving the compliments, the gifts, especially because that Venus Capricorn, it's very into getting the material goods that it can get. Like, I get the CEO husband that provides me with all of the goods, and he gives me the presents, and he takes me to that fine dining. We have that social status that's real high up there and the like. But relationships are kind of different from that normally, right? A lot of times in divine counterpart relationships, we are dealing with a lot of paradoxes, and our nervous systems are set up for wanting relationships that are DNA structures and are based on our past experiences. So we often look for partners that are able to play the game. There is a very great book called Games People Play, and he has a side book with that goes very well, that can help you understand the psychology behind all of that as well. The premise of the book is that we have an adult self, a child self, authoritative or parental self, and based on how we're raised, those three are either balanced or there might be one in complete decay. And we generally look for partners who are able to play the game at least on two aspects of that. So we might choose a partner who is either going to argue with us in the same way that our parent argues with us or with their partner, in the same way we saw our parents argue, or they're going to enable and give in to all of the ways that our parents taught us to behave in romance. And when we get a partner that doesn't do that, we tend to want to break up with them, or we're trying to get them to enter that game. And I always really hated the word game because I didn't think what I was experiencing was a game. But as I progressed through it and ascended certain aspects, then I realized, oh, subconsciously, unconsciously, it is a game. We can call it a game. But yes, so we're given these paradoxes. Oftentimes, the only way out of our ancestral karma and trauma, our ancestral habits and things that they rooted down into us, is by getting a partner who doesn't allow for any of that. And that's a paradox because the whole time we're just like, I shouldn't be with this person. This person isn't playing that game. This doesn't seem right. Lots of insights, though. So if you're about to enter a relationship and you have somebody who isn't going to play your games, maybe you're an avoidant type, maybe you're anxious ambivalent, or maybe you're secure and now you're dealing with somebody on one of those aspects and they're not allowing you to behave in those certain ways, then the way out is through sitting down and seeing where those habits are coming from. Why am I trying to inflict power here? Why must I get my way? Who disrespected me that makes me think that whenever somebody behaves, maybe the way your partner is behaving, that that is a slight to you, when perhaps that's just how your partner behaves? And I think both people need to grow. The other aspect I was getting was that third party and the dolphins having like this male group where they go and look for women. And apparently they're more likely to be lifelong partners than a girl and boy dolphin. Maybe you have dealt with males that have done this. And I know I have seen information about narcissist men normally doing this where they tend to have bromances over anything. So if you're a male, perhaps you have a lot of male narcissistic friends that are trying to egg you on into treating your new girlfriend or your girlfriend's spouse in a certain way. Or perhaps, yeah, you've dealt with this type of group before. And so I'm really getting the message to ascend this. I need to look at friendships. Yeah, the other message I was getting through was not wanting to share like your marriage or your relationship because the other girls, siblings, maybe friends are jealous when you get into this relationship, and really having to put up boundaries like, are these people really friends if they're angry that you got married? If they start behaving oddly? You know, when I announced to certain people that I got married, they went and got married 2 months later to people they hardly knew. And then like the relationship fell apart right away because they just wanted the title. I was like, getting married was never about that, right? I don't know. But perhaps you're dealing with this, the fear of this. And there's a need to transcend these relationships. And sometimes people are just really jealous, and sometimes jealousy is very hard to fend off, right? When we really want something, we want to grab onto something, we can't help being jealous. But Source is saying then, like, sometimes those relationships need to be broken apart until maybe that person gets into a relationship of their own or is able to heal that aspect of themselves. It's still unknown because it's kind of weird when people start trying to compete with you in a relationship, right? I've had multiple friends who they're all competing with each other in their relationships, and then they're trying to kind of nudge my relationship into that. And it's like, what are you guys doing? They're like, we're the best relationship ever. It's like, was this ever a competition? Oh no, I thought we were supposed to be there for each other. There's a need for sovereignty here, whether that's from your parents, your mother, maybe your father, perhaps your siblings, what your cousins and other familial relationships think, your friend groups think of your relationship, your fan group, perhaps, just people out in the world. I don't know. I feel like marriage is one of those weirdest things, but maybe I just have a complex around it. And so I'm manifesting things that reflect that. But it's just been one of those things that people act very odd upon. And so I see the need to ground yourself first. And we have like the Aries horns here. And then we have the shells, which are reminding me of Cancer. We have the spears back here. Well, that's reminding me more of Sagittarius, and some crystals. For me, though, it kind of feels like the cardinal signs with the moon going down. I don't know. But yes, I feel like there's a need for you to really stand in who you are and your sovereignty. If this relationship is now a part of you, then stand proud. And if you need to stand your ground in the relationship, then do so now. Yeah, because also there's kind of a paradox. Because in relationships, sometimes Source uses our partner to test us, or sometimes there's other energies using them as agents. And so there's a need to stand your ground. You know, we have these ancestral roots going on, ancestral ties with past behaviors, and Source wants us to break out of them at times. And so there can be a paradox of having to tell your partner no. this is not going to proceed anymore. We're not behaving this way. Or there's a need for us to be like, oh, hey, I need to change my ways. And then, yes, other times it's like we have certain traits, perhaps people pleasing. We people please. And so Source makes our partner so condescending, so unwilling to budge, that we have to like really stand our ground and say, no, I am no longer people pleasing. I'm not going to do this because it pleases you. And so there's sovereignty in the relationship that we need. There's sovereignty outside of the relationship we need. And I think sometimes people think that they need to break up because of these things, when in reality, there's just a lesson to be learned. And sometimes our partner is the safest person that we can learn that from. So yes, now with underworld and sovereignty, there's a need to go within and go into those dark spaces. Perhaps this can be during arguments or tough situations. So I mentioned earlier about like taking a moment away, needing to take a breath, needing to catch our breaths during arguments. And it's also a paradox. So like perhaps you are anxious ambivalent, and that type of relationship patterning type, they kind of like hold on to the partner when there's a fight, and they're like, don't go, don't leave, you're pushing me away, abandonment is coming in. And so you're clinging tight. The other person's like, hey, I just need a breath. And then when the partner does give a lot of attention, you might not want them around. That is the general pattern of that. But for that type, then you might actually want to take the time out and say, okay, what's going on? And when you turn around, it's like, I want my mom and dad. In this moment, why are they not showing up for me? And you realize, oh, I'm upset with my partner because I think I need more attention, but really my inner self, my child self, my subconscious is crying out for my mother or my father. And so there's a need for meditation and to go into the underworld to clear that out. Avoidant types are very much in this sovereignty. They don't like clinginess. They don't like attachment very much. They decide to pull away. If somebody's showing them too much attention, they think it's time to go. And so during fights, you might actually want to do the opposite and actually stay. Be like, hey, why do I want to get away so much? Why am I thinking that's the other person's fault? Was it because it was safer to leave as a child than be around the other person? Or was that what was displayed? No one was there when I was feeling upset. There was no one present. So I put up this guard to where I'm always capable of handling any situation. Don't get near me. Because like really, if you get close to them, their nervous system's going to get all messed up. They might have a meltdown. They might actually start crying because somebody does care about them, you know? So yeah, I also see a need to understand those types. There's lots of videos on YouTube that do a very great job talking about avoidant and anxious ambivalent relationships. And even though I studied them in college, when I watched the videos, it was even more profound. Yeah, I'm getting like raised by narcissist, raised by borderlines, maybe some other disorder that's coming in line. And so if we really want to gain control of these aspects, there's a need to look within and see what kind of ancestral patternings are going around. And if you've ascended this is something you've already grown out of, then there's a need to share that wisdom with the crowd. Like, not a lot of people are going to go talk about this. I think a lot of people that are actually dealing with anxious ambivalence or avoidance issues, they're not secure. You know, they don't really want to go out into the crowd and actually communicate this information. So there's a need for it. And then the explorer is coming through here. If you're walking down this path at the moment or you're about to, then take heart. Know that you're going to gain insights. It's going to lead you in the right direction. Don't be afraid to explore the underworld. Don't be afraid to go deep down. Sink your teeth into the ground. That is reminding me of fights and arguments. Yes, if you're new to this, relationships have arguments. They have fights. There is fighting involved. And that's kind of a part of the cycle. Yes, moon cycles were coming through too. And, you know, it took me like 3 years of really following the moon cycles to stop having fights during the full moon or eclipses. My first astrologer here on YouTube, he said that if it feels like you're going to fight, don't ever hang out with your partner on an eclipse. And the 3 days around it, like a day before, the day after, they're the worst days to interact with your partner if things are on shaky grounds. Like the energies are so intense, the full moons as well. And if you don't know what you're dealing with energetically, you can easily get into arguments and fights. But these also lead to a lot of insights and the ability to go into the underworld to cleanse out these subjects. That's why, again, it is a paradox. Well, we might want to avoid the fights. We might get along better if we just learn to not hang out on days when the moon are squaring or when there's an opposition in the clouds. But then paradoxically, you might not be taking care of these things. You have to decide if maybe fighting really is not that big of a deal. Maybe you can ascend this. Maybe you could take the time to transmute this. And again, if you have this knowledge, like it's much needed, right? I hear that people are really struggling with relationships right now. I guess they always were, right? I don't know. Being the weaver for the crowd. I'm also seeing Reiki, like hand healing through this. The sword is your word. Shedding because of the snake. We have appointedness again. So yeah, gaining a lot of insight and construction. If you're willing to go through this journey, what would the crescent moon be? It's new. The energy is, well, it could be old, huh? It's either new or old. But then the circle of the snake, right? It eats itself. My other cat came through, so I am getting the message also. Maybe your friends do mean a lot to you. Maybe you do really need to make sure that you're playing and having fun with your children. If you're getting into a new relationship, you don't want them to feel left behind while you're swept in romance. And you want to make sure that the partner is going to actually treat them well. You want to see how they're engaging with them and kind of gauging how they treat them when you're not around. You kind of want to really look at how your child's body is responding to the other person when they get near them as well. Like, can you pick up on whether or not your child's actually comfortable around them or not? Because they might be putting up a facade. And then with friends, you want to be making sure to make enough time for them, but you also want to make sure that they're not disrespecting your relationship. And if they are disrespecting your relationship, is there a reason behind that? Is the person that you've chosen to bring into the group just not compatible with them? Is like your new girlfriend or boyfriend causing them to feel uncomfortable? Could be really anything, right? Relationship dynamics go in all sorts of ways. But I'm seeing a need to play. A need to play with the people around you, and a need to play in the relationship as well. Oh, and then games people play, understanding that we subconsciously do play games. And so just being an explorer in that, really analyzing why you might be playing a game, why they might be playing a game, and not taking it too hard. Because these things take many years to ascend and transcend. I don't think that unless you're very secure and you had very secure parents and your partner is very secure, then I'm sure there are people who have very happy relationships early on and throughout. But for the most part, I think it takes like 7, 8, 9 years to start really getting a hang of dealing with the other person. I'm also getting that perhaps, like, say you do have a narcissistic group of people around you, that it might be now time to go on that divine journey with just your partner in mind. Because I'm being taken to a story that Ram Dass tells about one of his best friends who ended up moving to the forest with his wife. And they took out like 7 years just to be together, just to figure out the relationship. And I think that relationships that look like twin flames, they kind of need that sort of aspect, or they might be asked by source to go take a journey like that because there's a lot to flush out of their system, or they agreed to that. So yes, very many different relationships. Everyone's relationship is different. What they're being called to do in their relationship is different. but I see there needing to be a need for higher perspective. And if you are at the top of this journey, you are well established in your marriage, then I think that you can provide insights and higher perspective to the people around you. So you might be able to provide this to younger couples, to new couples, people who are in your family that are starting to date and the like. And I see you bringing very great insights, especially with like this, looks like a hawk's feathers. Could even be an owl because it kind of has like this horned aspect right here. Yeah, that's really taking me to duality too, like the highs and lows of a relationship, you know? I don't think a lot of us can escape that. There are going to be times where we want to leave the relationship, and there's going to be times where we want to stay, and there's going to be bland times and good times, but that's all okay. Manifest. Manifest the world that you desire and grow higher. We also have this death and decay. You know, a lot of manifestation techniques and rituals do require that, and like dark magicians, they do bad things because it actually means sometimes we need to break a cup, sometimes we break a habit, a mindset, a mental construct, yes, emotional constructs. A lot of times I find that when big manifestations come through, you know, your car windows might break, you might break a glass cup, something breaks. Yes, generally something breaks. And I normally see something breaking as very good, even though it's sad when you lost that object. It means that a cycle is finished and we can move on, and we don't actually want to harm other people. I don't know why black magicians be doing that. They don't want to break aspects of their own selves, so they get greedy and they use somebody else. This poor animal, maybe, but we don't need to do that. It's not necessary. You could just decide to change yourself. I know it might be difficult. I personally think it's kind of fun. Although, you know, our ego kind of holds on. It's like, no, gets all prickly, angry. Can't take that aspect away from me. That's me. It's like, no, you know, sometimes our partner's asking us to break a certain aspect, but we actually need it to be broken for our career, so we don't hand that down to our children. So we're not signaling that energy out to the crowd. There could be lots of reasons, but it's coming through needing to be done in the relationship. And with the outlaw, I think this can either indicate perhaps aspects of yourself that are not like kind of what we need. You know, we don't need people walking through the Middle East. Oh no. You know, the Midwest and shooting things. Yeah, we don't need war, I don't think. But that's a paradox, right? You know, who knows what source is thinking with those things? We don't know. But there's aspects of ourselves that our parents gave us that might not be well. And then also there's the authenticity, right? Not caring about what other people think. So that's dualistic. There could be parts of us that are authentic, that we do need to ascend to, that just don't care, that are willing to go at our own beat. But then there's other aspects that maybe we have this dagger and we're taking it out. I don't know. Cactuses are also prickly. There might be prickly energy here, but they also bear fruit, which is good. And behind everything is the alchemist. So I see you being able to alchemize all of these things, able to move through the paradoxes. Paradoxes also remind me of initiations, because our initiations are often very paradoxical. And then there's transmute in there as well. So transmuting all of this ancestral energy that has starved us out. Oh yeah. And that like sometimes we do want a very healthy, happy relationship. So we're manifesting it. But you know, that manifestation might take years. This is a skull. So it might take a life cycle or perhaps a Saturnian cycle to do that now. But in the end, I think we'll be very happy with the results. Just know that sometimes we want love, and it ends up taking us years and years to get to that point to where we do manifest the exact love that we want in that relationship. We just have to be patient. But I think Source is really asking you to share that information and to also look at information that could be provided with others who have insights. And again, don't be afraid to be the explorer, because you are the revolutionary. Your guides and ancestors are going to help maneuver you, to help you gain the right insights and actually go to your heart. And sometimes our heart, it wants a person and our brain is like, what? Again, this person doesn't play the same games as us. They're not fitting the bill. It might feel like an upward hill, but the heart's actually leading you to what you're wishing to truly manifest. Yes. So we just need to gain a higher perspective. So don't be afraid of going into the underworld, sharing wisdom that you've gained from the underworld and maybe from your darkest parts, the darkest paths that you weaved in your journey. Don't be too afraid about making other people uncomfortable. Stand in your sovereignty, ascend all of that, play, and connect with your inner femininity. So that's all the messages I have for you today. If you enjoyed, please hit the like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you'd like. Until next time.